As you can see, we're joined by team members from UCLA, head coach Corey Close, senior Kennedy Burke, and junior Japrice Dean. Procedurally, for those on the dais, Coach will ask that you provide a 2-minute or less opening statement. Then we'll have questions for the student athletes. And ladies, please be sure to speak into the microphone so that we can get it on the recording as well as here in the room. The student athletes will be excused, and then Coach, you'll have 10 minutes for a press conference after that.
Okay.
If you would, please.
Absolutely. And I don't know what to say other than that talk in the locker room. I've been doing this 26 years, and it doesn't get any easier. I asked the team, you know, we lost to Loyola Marymount, who's a good team, lots of respect for them at the beginning of the year, but if I had told them that if they would stay focused on the process and keep a growth mindset and get better and give to each other every day, that they could end up playing at this level and competing at this level, possession by possession with UConn, would they have thought that was possible? And I'm not sure they would have been able to dream that big at that point when we were really disappointed after our opening game. And to watch them, they really taught this, I think I said this yesterday, but they just continue to do it. They taught this old lady about all the things that I say out loud, but they made it go a little deeper in my heart about what can happen if you stay focused on getting better every day and truly making a difference in each other's lives as teammates. If you're a great teammate and you grow every day, that something special can happen. And I believed it, and I've seen it over time, but they really seared it on my heart. And you know, it's hard because we didn't come to play close. We came to compete to win. And we believed it and fought for it. And but all year long, and especially in the postseason, I've told them over and over again that be where your feet are moment by moment. And don't worry about the past or what could or could not happen in the future. And just make sure you finish empty. And as their head coach, I could look them in the eye and I could say, you can have peace, you finished empty. And as a head coach, that's all I can ask for.
Thank you, Coach. We will now open it up for questions from the media. Up here on the right, Doug. Again, as a reminder for the student athletes only at this point, please.
Doug Feinberg, the AP. Girls, congratulations on a good season. Kennedy, that fourth quarter, you guys were up 1, and they scored the first 6 and then went on a 15-4 run. Was it something they did, or just what was the difference in that fourth quarter that got them over the hump?
The biggest difference was our defense, and that's what we're known for. We made some huge stops. I think we did like 4 stops in a row, and it made the change in the game.
Next question. Up here again on the right.
Howard Magdal, High Post Hoops. Japrice, question for you. You and Corey spoke at halftime before you guys went into the locker room. I'm curious what that conversation was like and how you sort of took that into the third quarter where you guys made the run that you did.
She just encouraged me like she always does and just told me to stay aggressive despite my shooting and just to encourage the team and lead and just stay on attack mode.
Question. Yep, go ahead. Over here on the right.
Thank you. Kennedy and Japrice, Blake Richardson with the LA Times. I was just wondering, now that the season is over, what are you kind of most proud of the team sort of reflecting back?
You said individually or as a team?
As a team.
I just think that this particular year, this team was really special. Even though we didn't start off well, we showed that we could fight and that we can compete with any team. And this team is going to go a long way next year, and I'm excited for them.
Japrice, anything to add?
Yeah, I'm just proud of how we kept going despite the beginning of our season and what outsiders were saying and who we lost and who we don't have, and how people stepped up into different roles and how we just stayed level-headed through any game we played. I feel like the Pac-12 got us ready for these type of games, and it was just amazing to see how people stepped up and how people led, and it was just great.
We have a question over here on the left.
Christopher Lopez, SoCal News Group. When Lindsay Corsaro hit that 3 at the top of the circle and you all go up by 5, what's going through your head for Kennedy and Japrice?
Kennedy?
I think in that moment I was just excited for this team because Lindsay hit a big shot, and we could counter her to make those big shots in the games, and we just had to continue that on the defensive end. And even though things didn't go our way, I'm still proud of her confidence, and just throughout this entire year, she's always been a leader for us, and I'm really proud of her.
I think mostly after that stop, I was just thinking about defense and trying to get another stop so we can go on our run and don't let them go on theirs. So mostly just trying to get a stop after that big shot.
Question here to the right.
Kennedy and Japrise, congrats on a wonderful season. I was wondering if you could both speak about the house that Coach Corey talks about throughout the whole season, this house that you guys are building, and kind of, even though you guys fell short today, what did that house look like to you guys, and what did that mean to you guys?
Japrise, if we could start with you, please.
I think we built a mansion, honestly. People stepped up, like I said before, in the huge roles, and no one was scared and no one backed down, and I could respect that so much. And the house just consists of, I don't know, just people doing different things and staying together and being one and being expected to win games and trusting the process. She never wavered when we were losing games in the beginning. She knew what we could do, and credit to Coach Corey. She kept us encouraged, and we decided that we were going to be encouraged and stay together.
Yeah, I would have to agree with her. I think the biggest thing was just believing in ourselves, having confidence in ourselves, and yeah.
We have a question over here on the left.
Marvin Chambers, 4.0 Sports Media. Both of you guys, after you guys went up and they went to a 1-3-1 press, and then they inserted Olivia, how did that affect your guys' offense during the second half?
Kennedy, if you would.
I think when they made that change in their defense, if someone drives, we weren't really moving off of the ball. I think we were standing and watching a lot, and it just made us throw up shots that we didn't really want. But I think overall we just showed fight. So.
Yeah, I would just say it slowed us down. I think that he knows that we can get out in transition and run, so I think it was a great tactic just to slow us down.
Question here on the right.
Hi, actually one for each of you. Japrise, getting that extra year of eligibility, does that make it easier when you think about sort of what you've built and what there is left to do? And Kennedy, I'm just curious if you could reflect on what the culture is that's been built, that when she got that extra year, there's a dog pile and there's such joy, obviously, that went along with that. So I'm sorry for each in turn.
I think the year is great. I mean, right now, it obviously hurts that we lost the game, so I'm not really thinking about the extra year, but credit to everyone that helped me and supported me through that process to get in the extra year, and I appreciate my teammates for being happy for me. But as far as right now, I'm just kind of reflecting on this season.
When we heard that Japrise was going to gain that extra year, I was just excited for the team. And even though when we heard the news, it was still during the time where we were preparing for this tournament, I just knew that she would take us all the way, a long ways. And I'm just excited for her. And she's going to lead this team next year, and she's going to do great things for them.
Any additional questions for our student athletes? Seeing none, ladies, thank you for doing this. Congratulations on a terrific season.
Thank you.
Good job.
Up here on the right, we have questions for the coach. Doug?
Corey, congrats on a good season
Thanks,
for you guys.
Doug.
The same thing I asked Kennedy. I mean, that run to start the fourth quarter was just defensive stops they were getting. What was the difference in that?
Well, I think their strength is their offensive execution, and I thought they asserted the will of their strength more than our strength, which is defense, rebounding, getting downhill in transition, right? So, which team can play to their strengths in those pressurized moments, and the reality is they played to theirs. And so we had to stop switching. We went to something completely different where we had 3 people that were switching screens and 2 people that were chasing. credit them. I also thought, though, the big difference was some of those big shots by Dangerfield. Those were really the backbreakers. They came in. I thought we regrouped after their 6-0 run. And, I think we scored, and I think I still had a good confidence about us. But I saw our demeanor change when Dangerfield hit a couple of those big shots late in the shot clock. And a couple of them were just good defense, better offense. And I thought that's when I saw sort of a little bit of a doubt creep in our eyes.
Thank you. Question up here to the right.
Jim Clark, Women's Hoops World. Kind of building onto that, you controlled the pace throughout, even though you're a running team, and you kept them deep into the shot clock. But in the fourth quarter, it didn't work so well.
No, it didn't.
What happened there?
Well, I think we weren't able to control the flow on offense, and to your question about the press, it really put us in a more standstill, one pass, make a read, and there was not a lot of rhythm. What you saw in their offense was a lot of rhythm, was a lot of fluidity, and when they did their press and we sort of got on our heels, and we didn't ever get our rhythm back in getting players shots in rhythm, and credit their defense. They really stepped up and made what we wanted to run hard, and they obviously their game plan was to give us jumpers and see if we could hit them, and we had a harder time with that today. That's about as worst game of shooting as we've had in a long time. I didn't think we could have a 26% again in the second half, but credit them, their defense. They rolled the dice on that, and it worked for them. And it wasn't our best shooting night, but the reality was I just think they played with a rhythm and fluidity, and we weren't able to find ours after that point.
Thank you. Question here, Howard.
Hi, Corey.
Hi, Howard.
So, obviously, you said 26 years, it doesn't get easier at the end, but you have a different group in a different spot, and there's so much talent coming back next year and a great class coming in. And I wonder whether you process it differently now, and if it is easier or just different to process it in the coming days.
Well, it'll be easier in a couple weeks. I think the reality is that we didn't. I just love this group of young women. So right now, all I'm thinking about is these young women and my responsibility to lead them in our mission as a program and to help them be their best as young women, as representatives of the university, as students, and of course, of competitive athletes. And so I'm excited about what we've had. I've been excited about it all year, and very thankful that we're now in a place in our program that our culture is feeding itself and our recruiting is becoming very consistent. And so I have a lot to be proud of in terms of what my staff really, they get so much credit for what we have built. But right now, I see the eyes and the faces of these young women that I love very much and that are really disappointed but have grown immensely.
We have a question on the right and then two on the left.
Hey, Corey.
Hi, Blake.
What will you remember the most about this season reflecting on this team?
One of our core values is a growth mindset, and I also will, and they did that. They just every week got better, and every week it got to the point in about mid-January I started texting the leadership group the day before our week started and said, what does our emphasis need to be this week? And the first part of the year, the staff would come up with that, like what are the musts? How do we have to grow this week? And from about mid-January on, our leadership group decided that. And they were really the drivers of the growth of this team. And the other thing I'll remember about this team is that they didn't let anyone on the outside define who they could become. They didn't let a lack of expectation or too much expectation. They were like, no, I'm going to define who I can become individually, and we are going to define ourselves, what we can become collectively. And, it takes a lot of guts as an 18 to 23-year-old in this day and age, and I'm really proud of how they learned to define who they wanted to be. And that's something that's not only helped our team this year, but that's going to stay with them for the rest of their lives, and I'm really thankful that they have that moment to refer to.
Thank you. Question here on the left.
Hi, Coach. Azar from MV Magazine. My question is to you. I saw you in a Bridgeport bracket when you guys upset Maryland before. Then you come back now this year and you beat Maryland, and people kind of seemed like it was an upset because you were a number 6 seed.
Sure.
And then coming into going against UConn, people kind of probably felt like you were going to get blown out, but you always give UConn a fight. You don't go away. Do you guys feel like coming in, do you guys feel like you were getting the respect that you deserve?
I don't know. I just always, Coach Wooden had a quote that if you focus on things that are out of your control, it adversely affects the things that are under your control. And I just can't control that. And I think it goes back to what I just said in terms of we just didn't let that stuff define us. We really believed in the matchup. We believed in if we played to our best that we could win. And, we had a period of about 6 minutes that we didn't play our best and we didn't win. But I don't really think that ever fazed us, honestly. I really, every day I would just look in their eyes and I'm like, are they ready to battle again for another week? And they were ready. Every time I looked at them, they responded. We have a phrase and we talked about it several times in the game, is that all we can control is our R, which is our response. And if you don't like your outcome, then you better change your R. And over again, these women just responded over and over. And so, I didn't really give it a second thought, and I don't think our players did either.
Thank you. Another question on the left?
Coach, I asked the players this same question when Lindsay Corsaro hit that 3 to put you up by 5. What's going through your head knowing that you had, completed sort of a comeback in the sense of you're back in the game, you're up 5. What's going through your head in terms of holding UConn?
Well, I think I thought the same thing as Japrice. I don't think we really ride the waves of that. I think if we did, we would be in big trouble. I think it was really a possession-by-possession game. So, obviously as those things happen, you believe deeper and deeper, like we can do this. And so, I'd be lying if it didn't fuel our belief. I'm sure it did. But I really do think it was a next play mentality. What is required of me for this possession? And so, yeah, but I didn't think we started believing then. I think we believed throughout, and maybe it grew, but I think it was just, what do I need to do to help our team get one more stop?
Howard, on the right here.
Thanks, Corey. Two, they're kind of unrelated, completely unrelated.
Okay.
One, just a real quick, you talked about empowering your leadership team. There was a timeout when you were down 55-50. You delayed about a minute before you went over. You let the players speak, and then you brought in. Was that what the idea was behind it, was empowering the leadership team?
Well, I think always. I think that, at this point in the year that I can't control it all. And I think all year long, we don't want to have a program that has a bunch of plays and that I have to call the most brilliant game in order for us to win. I want our players to not only feel empowered, but to be equipped with their skill, with their belief, with their confidence, with their communication. And, I think in March, players have got to feel empowered to make plays. And so I did the same thing at halftime. I said, what are you guys talking about? What are you seeing? And, I trust them. And they've earned that trust. I didn't give them that trust. They earned that trust. And, I want them, I think about most of them want to go on and play professional basketball. So I have a parallel mission to help us reach our potential, to help them grow as people, and then to prepare them for their next set of dreams. And at the next level, they got to be able to think and make plays and adjust to new coaches and different styles quickly. And they got to be empowered to think on their own if they want to make those next steps.
Thanks. And then that's actually lead into my next question, which is, you're no stranger to seeing players make that leap to the W. Opposite number in Nafisa Collier obviously is on her way. What do you see as her game at the next level? What do you think she will do best for her WNBA team when she gets there?
Well, it's interesting. She's a little bit different than Kennedy Burke in some ways, but similar in others. They're very versatile. I think it's going to depend on who drafts her and what system she is, but I think that her ability to make an impact no matter where she goes or what system she's in, she's a machine. She is so active away from the ball. She plays great defense on the perimeter as well as in the post. Her post game was obviously where they took advantage tonight, but over the course of scouting, her ability to take the ball off the bounce and attack that way, as she grows in her confidence to shooting the ball as well as she's just scratching the surface. But her consistency of tempo and her ability to affect the game in so many different ways, she's obviously got a really bright future. But I feel similarly about Kennedy Burke. I think she's an elite defender, and she's a matchup nightmare, and she's just scratching the surface as well. So I think you see two really versatile players that are going to make their impact in the WNBA. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Coach, thank you very much for doing this. Congratulations on a wonderful season.
Well, thank you guys for covering our game and helping us grow our game.